The where clause is a clause that is part of the SQL select statement that is used to select rows from a table based on specific conditions. In this walkthrough, we will take a look at some examples of the where clause and how it can be used as part of an SQL select statement. Let's first start off by using the text database. Again, pay attention to the casing of the database name, the table name, and column names. In this case, let's start by looking at the table share. We see that the table share has 10 rows and it has 6 columns. The where clause allows us to pick specific columns that we are interested in from this result set of 10 columns. There are a variety of different ways that we can pick rows. Let us start off by picking one specific row. Let us say we decide to pick the row where the share code corresponds to, for instance, a BE. BE, or share code, is considered the primary key of the table share, and BE is the unique identifier for this record corresponding to Burmese elephant. So, to do that, this is a query on the primary key. Select star from the table share. So I want all the columns from the share table, but I want one specific row. So I shall say where the value of share code, and pay attention to the column name. It's spelled SHRCODE, where share code is equal to. So we are using a comparison operator, the equal to operator over here, to see where the share code is equal to BE. Now, the thing that we need to note is BE is character data, and character data needs to be in quotes, and I'm enclosing the BE in quotes, ending the query with a semicolon. And when I run this query, we see that we have only one record that is returned, the record that corresponds to a share code equal to BE. There are a variety of different comparison operators that we can be using. Equals to is one comparison operator. Another comparison operator is not equals to. So let's say, for instance, I want all the records excluding the one where share code is BE. And so I can say select star from share where SHR code. Now, to represent not equals to, we have two options. We can first say exclamation point equals to. Exclamation point equals to represents not equals to. And so I could say exclamation point equals to BE gives me not equals to BE. And if I run the statement, you see I don't have BE present here. I have 9 rows returned instead of the original 10 rows returned, right? Because one record, the record for BE, is not present. Another way of representing not equals to is to use the combination of greater than, less than facing in the opposite directions. This also represents not equals to. Just like we have equals to, not equals to, we similarly have greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. So let us do these. And so we can say select star from share where SHR. Now, SHR code is character data, and so I really can only use equals to and not equals to. But SHR price is numeric and so that allows me to use greater than and less than. So I can say SHR price, for instance, is greater than 35. And if I run greater than 35, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shares where the share price is greater than 35. If I do greater than equal to 35, I get, instead of 4 rows returned, I will get 5 rows returned because I have Nigerian geese where the share price is in fact 35. And so the greater than equal to includes the share price of 35. Notice for numerical data, I don't need to surround it in quotes. Numerical data, numbers are present as is. Similarly, I can do less than and less than 35. Select star from share, where share price is less than 35, and there we go. I have 5 records where the share price is less than 35. And if I do less than equal to 35, I have the record including 35, giving me 6 rows. And so subsequently, we can use these kinds of comparison operators um, to compare values, right? Equals to, not equals to, greater than equal to, less than equals to. These are different ways to look for specific records in a table, specific rows in a table. There are other ways we can select records. Sometimes we might actually want a record to match multiple conditions, not just a single condition, but multiple conditions. We have some logical operators we can use. These are and or. The and or operators allow us to combine conditions, combine multiple conditions. So let's say I want those shares whose price is, for instance, greater than $30, but also um, their price to earnings ratio needs to be greater than 10, right? So I have two conditions. The price needs to be greater than 30 and the price to earnings ratio needs to be greater than 10. Well, what's a query that would accomplish this? Select star from share where share price is greater than 30. So this is my first condition. My second condition is that the share PE needs to be greater than 10. So I can say and. And is a logical operator that evaluates the truth of both my conditions. And so I say and SHR PE greater than 10. And so I will see that I have only 4 records returned where both share price is greater than 30 and the price to earnings ratio is greater than 10. And so this is one way we can have multiple conditions specified in an SQL query. The OR operator, on the other hand, is slightly different. The OR operator evaluates the truth of either one expression or the other, right? And so if a record matches either of the conditions, that record is returned, or that row is returned. So how does one use the OR operator? Let's say I want those shares whose share code is, for instance, AR or BE, right? Abyssinian ruby or Burmese elephant, right? Burmese elephant or Canadian sugar, right? So if I do select star from share where the SHR code is equal to AR. This gives me where the share code is Abyssinian Ruby. Now, I don't want the share code just to be Abyssinian Ruby. I also want that record where the share code is BE. And so I would say or SHR code equals to BE or SHR code is equal to CS, in this case, Canadian sugar. And so what SQL does is that it evaluates the record and sees, does the share code match either AR or BE or CS? And if it does, it returns those records. In this case, AR, BE, or CS, the record is returned. And so we can use logical and or operators to combine conditions and return records based on one or multiple conditions. Another operator that allows us to select rows is known as the IN. The includes operator allows us to specify a list of items that need to be examined when we want records returned. For example, take a look at the query between lines 42 to 44. It says that select star from share where share code is equal to AR or share code equal to BE or share code is equal to CS. Now, if we wanted to add multiple other share codes, we could specify them and separate them with an OR clause. But this could become tedious and in fact quite long. The include operator allows us to simplify this. And here is how. We can say select star from share where the SHR code includes, and within parentheses, we specify values of SHR code, valid values of SHR code. For instance, AR, close quotes, comma, BE within quotes, comma, CS within quotes. And this query returns to us the same 3 rows, but simplifies the where statement. The include operator is basically searching for these 3 values in the values of share code. Another operator that is important is an operator called not. Not allows us to reverse the results of a query. For instance, I can take this includes operation and make it a not includes operation. For instance, like this. Select star from share where SHR code not in does not include the following values: AR, BE, CS. And what this query is going to give me is it's going to give me those records that do not have AR, BE, or CS as part of share code. And so if I run this query, I get those shares. I get 7 other shares that do not have AR, BE, or CS as values in share code. Another way that records can be searched for in an SQL query is through the use of the regular expressions regexp operator. regexp looks for records in a table based on looking for patterns in a specific string or based on patterns that are present in the data in a column. So, how do we use the regular expressions operator? Let's say, for instance, I am looking for those shares that have, for instance, the word sheep in the name of the share. right? So how do I do that? Now I can do select star from share where SHR firm, which is the name of the share, which is the column that contains the name of the share. I would add REGEXP. I would say within quotes SHEEP, end it with a semicolon. When I run this, we see that this code, REGEXP sheep, looks within this column and says that, okay, there is one record that has the word sheep as part of the text in here, and subsequently returns this record. Now, this is not to be confused with the equals to operator. The equals to operator is an exact match. So for instance, if I do select star from share where SHR firm equals to sheep, well, what the equals to operator, I'm not going to get any results back, first of all. And the reason I'm not going to get any results back is because it is looking for the record where share firm is exactly sheep. The equals to operator is an exact match. The regular expression operator looks for the word sheep within that specific record, right? So it's looking for a pattern within a larger string rather than looking for an exact match. Now, regular expressions uh, are in fact quite complex. And here are some different ways to represent patterns and to look for multiple patterns within, within a string or within a column. Let's say one wants to look for those shares that have sheep or geese as part of their name. We use the regular expressions operator and we say sheep. Now, I don't just want sheep, I also want to look for a separate pattern, geese. And so we have this vertical line. This vertical line can be found on the key right above the return or enter key on your keyboard, right? And so sheep, vertical line, geese. And what this does is it looks for either of these patterns in the name of the share. And so I get Bolivian sheep or Nigerian green geese. Now, if you want to make a case insensitive version, so we are looking for capital case S and capital case G in the name of the share. But if you want to search for case insensitive versions of sheep and geese, all we need to do is we need to add those. So I would say select star from share where SHR firm regular expression sheep or geese or sheep with a lowercase s or geese with a lowercase g. So we have to specify the capital and lowercase. Regular expressions are case sensitive. And so we can see, in this case, we don't have lowercase sheep and lowercase geese, but if we did, the records would be returned. We can also look for those records. We can also look for patterns in the beginning of a string or patterns at the end of a string. Patterns in the beginning of a string are symbolized with uh, uh, really an up arrow, right? And patterns at the end of a string are represented with a $sign. So how do we look for a pattern in the beginning of a string? Here's how. We would say select star from share where SHR firm regular expression. And so we're looking for a pattern in the beginning of a string. And so we use that, right? Uh, and so this is the number 6 key on your keyboard. So shift and the number 6 key on your keyboard. And let's say we're looking for those shares that start with the letter S, right? And so starts with the letter S. And if I run this, we see that there is one share that starts with the letter S, which is Sri Lankan gold, right? And that is the returned record. Now I can also specify characters that are ending, right? And so I'd say select star from share where SHR firm regular expression in this case ends with, let's say I want to look for those shares that end with the letter E. Say E and dollar. Dollar represents the ending of the string. So I'm looking for those shares that end with the letter E. And so I get Nigerian geese, which is what is ending that string right there. And so these are some examples of looking for patterns in a string and ways to use those patterns and specify those patterns.